because a phonetically similar word, excuse me, Mira, was the original ancient name of Egypt, Ptah Mira, the land of Mira, which means beloved land.
A few moments later.
Laner stated that the ancient Egyptian or Kemetian term, Kemet being the original name for Egypt.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait, first of all, you're not going to speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
Mira
was the original ancient name
of Egypt, Ptah Mira, the land of Mira, which means beloved land. Kemet being the original name for Egypt.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God, stop fucking lying.
The original ancient Kemetian term for pyramid was something he calls Mr. Pyramid. Mr. Pyramid. And Laner bases this on his translation of Mr. as instrument or place of ascension.
So in so many words, I want to get this particular part.
Okay.
The Atlantis story would be equivalent to the Noah's flood. Atlantis used to be a when it was a spiritual world, and it gradually fell into the vibration of the physical laws covering it over. And that's the Noah's story. Just as, now where's Atlantis? Atlantis, we used to be gods and souls and suns that were trapped into the physical world. So Atlantis now exists as our souls.
In the case of our own local system, the nebula in question was regarded as the Pleiades. Hence it was here, so ancient tradition had it, that the great primordial cosmic spirits, who were the actual progenitors of humankind, fell and thereby metaphorically died to celestial existence. Hence also the state became known as Moor from the word death. Thus the myth, or rather allegory, of Merope in the ancient Greek story mentioned earlier of the seventh Pleiades sister who married the demi-mortal Sisyphus and then mysteriously disappeared. Hence also the widespread use amongst the ancients and in many languages today of the root Moor or Moor, signifying death. Originally, however, the temporary death of the divine spark, which fell into this lesser state of being from a yet greater one.
The story of Atlantis, we all know they fall, just like in Genesis. Zeus, perceiving that an honorable race was in woeful plight and wanting to inflict punishment on them, that they might be chastened and improved, called a meeting of the gods to address them. And on this note, initiating the overthrow of Atlantis and the destruction of the human race, the text of Critias breaks off in the middle of the sentence, and that is the end of the Atlantis story. Atlantis is perhaps part of an ongoing struggle, and one that we're in fact living today, to see a philosophical utopia take its place in the real world, a perfect or a just society, as it's called. Atlantis is also a warning about losing our righteousness and mixing our mortal and immortal parts, mixing our moral with our immoral parts. It's all about living pure lives based on light, love, and righteousness, and locked onto and focused on developing our light body, according to Plato. So this brings up a very important question. Could the Atlanteans, who were the divine offspring of these original creator gods, which again, we're asking you to link them with the original creator gods in the Egyptian creation text at Edfu, could these have been perfect light beings in the sense that Tibetans think of the rainbow light body beings? Were these higher frequency beings that had the ability to phase into physicality and to ultimately manifest themselves as physical beings and thereby intervene in human affairs by altering our DNA and also by assisting in the creation of very important temple complexes, including the Great Pyramid? That is part of the question we want to answer as we continue. And the way we're going to do that is by once again acknowledging that the biblical flood narrative discusses the evil of mankind that moved God to destroy the world, not Zeus, by way of a flood, just like happened with Atlantis just like happened with the island of the egg in the Egyptian creation text.
The waves of the ocean. Well, the waves of the ocean always represents the waves of the physical vibrations that flooded us over. So the flood was not the flood of the water. The flood was originally the flood of the physical vibration, because even some people that don't even have, that's landlocked in culture, have a flood story.
Okay.
Well, goddamn. So they're talking about the flooding over of the physical.
And we know the biblical story of Noah, that he builds an ark, saves his family, saves 2 of every kind of animal, as well as plant life as well.
In the book of Genesis, when the animals were coming to Noah and everything, and the Most High created the sciences that govern this earth, right? All the things. How come the animals do not eat each other? That's against science. For them, naturally, they should want to eat each other. How come they did not?
Because the Most High put a spirit on them on that time, because the Most High was trying to preserve them for after the flood, because the animals had to be around after the flood. Because the Most High put a spirit on them on that time, because the Most High was trying to preserve them for after the flood, because the animals had to be around after the flood to reproduce. So the Most High put a spirit on them at that time where they wouldn't do that. You see what I'm saying? The Most High put a spirit on them.
Well, let's just think about this Noah's Ark thing here now. We got Noah. He gonna go and take 2 animals and put on around the world. Now, Noah's a bad motherfucker now. He gonna go to China and get a tiger, because a tiger's not in Africa. Right. He gonna get a lion from Africa. Now, let's just take it right now. He gonna take 2 tigers, 2 gorillas, 2 lions, 2 hippopotamus. He don't need no more animals. He just put them on the ship. He's fucked. Hey, hey, you gonna take a gorilla or 8? There's 200 species of dogs. He gotta have 2 of them on the ship. 4,000 species of snakes, bats, rats, spiders, gorillas, monkeys, chimpanzee, tigers, orangutan, zebras.
The Most High put a spirit on them at that time. The Most High put a spirit on them.
Eagles that eat cats, cats that eat rats, and he gonna put all that shit on one boat and get his ass up in there. He wouldn't last 5 minutes.
The Most High put a spirit on them.
Can you imagine a gorilla, a tiger, a hippopotamus, and a goddamn 400 snakes, species of snakes, and 200 species of dogs, Rottweilers, bulldogs?
The Most High put a spirit on them.
And you gonna put all that on a boat and sail with this shit?
The Most High put a spirit on them.
Didn't include the whale. Now how the fuck you gonna get a whale on the ark that's bigger than the damn ark?
The Most High put a spirit on them. The Most High put a spirit on them. The Most High put a spirit on them. The Most High put a spirit on them.
You know what I'm saying? Now come on now. But you grown folks, you believe in this shit. You know what I'm saying?
Question: could Noah have been an Atlantean? Well, the answer is affirmative if you're following the work of Edgar Casey, who believed that there were 2 destructions of Atlantis. And in fact, that is another correspondence with the Edfu creation text, that the island is created, and then it's destroyed by a cataclysm, it's rebuilt, and it's probably then destroyed again before the time of Plato. And this is what Plato is actually describing. According to Casey, the second destruction of Atlantis corresponds with the biblical story of the flood and the saving of Noah and his family. And in his readings, Casey came to the conclusion that Noah, in fact, was an Atlantean. Now, here's something very important. The book of Genesis says this is the genealogy of Noah. Noah was a just man. Just means he was righteous. Noah was a just man, perfect in his generations. Noah walked with God. Well, wait a minute. The only other person in the Old Testament who walks with God is Enoch. And Enoch is a pre-flood sage, possibly an Atlantean, who walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. And by this, we understand that Enoch ascended. So if Enoch is a perfect being and walked with God, and Noah is perfect and walked with God, did Noah ascend too? in the pre-flood world? And what then exactly would be the mechanism for his ascension? In 3 Enoch, Metatron describes the Rabbi Ishmael describes how Enoch lived before the great flood, the Atlantean civilization, some say, and was transubstantiated from mortal to angelic form. The book of Enoch picks up the story of the book of Genesis and says Enoch was actually transubstantiated, or translated is another term, from his earthly flesh into his celestial flesh. And in my research, what I'm asking you to do is to match Enoch sitting on the rainbow, as we see here, with Padmasambhava in his rainbow light body, in his perfect rainbow light body, and ask the question, did in fact Enoch and Noah, by being called perfect beings, did they also attain their perfect light body? Is this in fact how they survived the flood? Now, with that basis in mind now, we want to go forward and connect the Great Pyramid to the story of these divine light beings, the rainbow light body beings. And that's what we're going to do now. Plato describes a sacred mountain at the center of Atlantis. Near the plain in the center, there was a hill, low on all sides. Poseidon, in order to fortify the hill, broke it down all around, and there placed alternatively greater and lesser walls of earth, sea, and water. Upon the hill, the royal palace and the fabulous temple of Poseidon, previously described, were built surrounded by 3 arranged walls. So this is Poseidon's hill, and on Poseidon's hill is Poseidon's temple. And around this artificial mountain, Poseidon's hill, there are 2 enclosure walls alternating with 3 moats. These represent respectively the 3 moats of sea between the 2 earth walls taken all around the hill of Poseidon. Now, what's interesting about this is that this is a description of the world mountain. Plato's hill, Poseidon's hill, the original mountain of Atlantis, even the Great Pyramid is referred to as the world mountain. And another name for the world mountain is Meru. And turning to Buddhist imagery, we find a remarkable image of Meru as we're looking at here. And you can see Padmasambhava rather, emerging in the top in his rainbow light body. And at the base, can you see the concentric, not rings, but the concentric rectangles, which could represent the pyramid or the original mound of creation, the world mountain. Either way, that is a main element of this image. And it looks as if Padmasambhava is emerging from the world mountain in his rainbow light body. There are many world mountains around the world that correspond with this 3-tiered notion of Poseidon's hill as described by Plato. The Ziggurat in Ur we just looked at, Borobudur has the same thing, and it also has the concentric rings exactly as described by Plato. And then also this Khmer temple in Cambodia has the similar 3 rings of portals going into a central ring. And then we also see the similar concept here at Teotihuacan near Mexico City. So all of these world mountains could conceivably interlock with the original world mountain, which would be the Pyramid of Giza. Now, Meru, as the name of that world mountain, is very important because a phonetically similar word, Mira, was the original ancient name of Egypt, Pata Mira, the land of Mira, which means beloved land. Literally, Ta Meri means the place of Mr, and Mr has been interpreted as a canal or a waterway. So without the vowels, Meru becomes Mr, and which is again correspondent with the ancient name of Egypt. Well, Mera or Mer, Mr, is the original name for the Great Pyramid of Egypt, or is an original term applied to the Great Pyramid of Egypt. So we have to be thinking about the world mountain when we're thinking about the Great Pyramid of Egypt. And as we're facing it, we are face to face with the ancient mysteries of the world mountain, and I believe possibly with the original primordial hill described in the Edfu creation text. No matter how many times Claire and I stand on this spot here, which is referred to as the panoramic view of the pyramids, we're always filled with this sense of wonder. And you look at this and you think, we could be on any planet. This could be Mars.
So I keep digging a little bit deeper, and I finally get underneath this cloud cover here, and a few images pop up. Looks just like the pictures they give us of Mars. Same kind of rock, same kind of dirt. Okay, that looks like an accessible. Cameras set up, tents, ATVs, food. So this one here said roving the Arctic. So what does that make any sense? So I'll keep kind of going through here and see if it, what the, I think I found out where Mars is, guys. It's just about 1,000 miles north of me. Totally looks like the Mars terrain to me. Just need the red filter. Let's see, can we find anything? I see the mountains. Yeah, if you go look at Mars pictures, go to Gigapan, or you can go to NASA.gov and look at all their Mars frauds. Yeah, just very empty. Oh, there's one of those ATVs. All right, now we're on something. Oh, I got another truck. Oh yeah, it says NASA. What's that say? Mars Project?
Based on the recent imagery we've seen coming back from Mars, the surface of Mars looks very similar to this. And you think, what if there are these pyramids on other planets? And what if these divine creator beings that the Edfu creation texts tell of, again, possibly the source for Plato's Atlantis story, what if these are beings that go from planet to planet to planet to planet, building pyramid complexes, building original islands of the egg, these primordial hills? You get a tremendous sense of wonder when you're standing at this place and know that these buildings have been standing for at least 10,000 years, maybe 50,000 years. Nobody knows for sure. They're certainly much older than traditional Egyptology would accept. And you just have to stand in awe and ask, what was the original purpose of these buildings? There's mounting evidence, as I was saying, that around 10,000 years ago, a very advanced technological civilization had been destroyed by cataclysmic events, especially in the area of the Giza Plateau. They left some of the most mysterious constructions ever conceived. And it's incumbent upon us to follow the trail of these mysteries, because ultimately, I believe they lead us back to those original divine light beings as recorded in the Edfu texts. They are the ones who brought the technology of resurrection to Earth with them. And that became the basis for all the ancient Egyptian religion, mythology, their stories. Everything is about resurrection and our ability to transmute ourselves into light and travel with the gods as celestial beings in the stars. All ancient Egyptian technology, everything that we're looking at, be it the Dendera light bulb, the pyramids, the Tet pillars, the Osiris device, everything is based on the belief in human transformation into a star being, as described not only in the Edfu creation text, but also in the pyramid texts, which functions as sort of the software for the hardware of the pyramid. So continuing now with our exploration of this MR symbolism, the hieroglyph of MR is a pyramid. And Egyptologist Mark Lehner stated that the ancient Egyptian or Kemetian term, Kemet being the original name for Egypt, the original ancient Kemetian term for pyramid was something he calls MR dot pyramid. MR dot pyramid. And Lehner bases this on his translation of MR as instrument or place of ascension. Now, Mark Lehner is one of the most traditional Egyptologists and most often cited contemporary Egyptologists out there. He's as mainstream as they get. And here he is telling us that MR means instrument or place of ascension. And the hieroglyph for MR is a pyramid. That is giving us at least some sense that the pyramid has something to do with ascension. And the ascension that's referred to here is a metaphysical one. Because the software for the pyramid texts, speak of a metaphysical journey of the soul on its way through the duat to reach the afterlife. everything that we see in ancient Egypt relates to this journey.
So Persephone is snatched into Hades, and Hades also represents the physical bondage. Egypt, because the story of the Exodus actually was the Egyptian story borrowed by the Hebrews. Egypt, the Egyptians represented represented their land. Their land represented bondage. The physical laws of the Jews are the jewels. Trapped in bondage in Egypt is the physical body. The jewels are trapped in bondage, which is down in the gastrointestinal tract, or the lowest root chakra, where they say go down to the ravenous dragon, which is the actual intestines, and recover the pearl that resides there. That's the jewel. And later on, the Jews in bondage in Egypt, in bondage in the physical body. This was a metaphysical story, and later on became historicalized as a literal bondage. Our second coming is you coming again to your Christhood. You used to be called a race full of Christ. They used to call them the Nephilim in the Bible, the giants. But they fell, which means they gathered a physical body. Let me explain. They fell. They gathered a physical body. Let me explain something. See if I can find it in this. It's in several things. It's in the Gnostic scripture. But yeah. They fell. Listen. Now, so it wasn't that Jesus got crucified 2,000 years ago on a cross and all that old bullshit. That's garbage. Your cross is your body. You fell into the physical body. You fell into your cross. As I say, bear your cross. You fell into your body. As the human race became more and more addicted to the world of senses and appearances, the physical world, the inner celestial vision, which is your third eye, and the world of the divine body with its divine human soul faded. They lost their inner vision as a kind of spiritual amnesia. Can be said to have led back to the dismembering of the Lord's body and merely the natural consciousness of mankind. Thus, Eden disappeared from the human consciousness to become merely a myth. The divine man could be said to have disappeared again beneath the water of external phenomena of the world. So what happened was this. At one time, we were radiating on an advanced divine level. And what you call the invisible world or the unseen real that they tell you to have faith in was visible. It was a whole nother damn party room. And you was the damn leaders of it. Doing what the hell you wanted because you were gods. The vibratory rate fell because of another entity that trapped us in this particular dimension. It fell, and as it fell, we became more and more and more physically into the physical realm. And the spiritual world started becoming, the spiritual world, or what you call the invisible world now, which is the real world, Eden or heaven, started becoming dim. At one time, the physical world was dim, which is an illusion. And as you fell, the physical world became more visible, and you started depending on these two eyes, which is a cheat, and the spiritual world became invisible. And you get that in dreams now. That's the key. You get it in the dream world, and you get it in what you call visions. But you also get it every day in your thoughts. That's, you just don't, you get the most miraculous shit. You ever walk up and then have a thought, you be like, whew. Right. But you've been taught that don't listen to your thoughts, because that's all fucked up. And don't talk to yourself.
You can also read minds.
Yeah, you can read, don't talk to yourself. Start back talking to yourself. Because the physical doesn't exist. It's only a slowed down vibratory rate. The real self is on the inside, so when you talk to yourself, you're becoming more and more unconscious in identifying with that true self, which is yourself. So this is why I tell you don't talk to yourself. But every time you get by yourself, you talk by your damn self. Somebody come in the damn room, what you do? I was singing. Why do you talk to yourself? You know what I'm saying? You be walking down the street, I'm going to take care of this shit right now. I'm going to take care of this shit right now. Well, wait till I get there. Who the hell you talking to? But you drumming up enough energy now because you really talking to yourself. Because you don't give a damn who hearing you. I'm going to take care of this shit right now. That's what you're really doing.